guy. And then, there's the CTO who's an engineering background. So what they're doing right now is they're acting, the sales guy is acting as a CEO, business development and fundraising. And the engineering is acting as CTO, product management, and helps CEO in the funding, okay? And also, of course, product development. And this is another company where it's engineering and marketing background kind of company. So in this, the marketing guy is acting as a CEO, and then fundraising, product management, business development, and the engineering guy is CTO and engineering. So point I'm trying to make is you've got to wear multiple hats, but you got to have at least the minimum qualities, right, within your founding team that helps you to kickstart, okay? So if you're just engineering guys, it's hard. When I partnered with Chandra, Chandra's background was sales and marketing. And I brought in the engineering, technology, that kind of background. So it was a fantastic complementary synergy that both of us had. And I learned the other aspects from the customer point of view and things like that, which I didn't have. I didn't have the skills, right? Because I was an engineer. I was never really exposed directly to customers. Hiring, very critical when you are hiring. So don't hire someone just because you know this person. I used to have, back when we started Exodus, I used to have people used to come and say, hey, let's do something together. I'm pretty sure a lot of people would have come to you and said, let's do something together. And then when you ask these guys, are you willing to quit your job and do this full-time? No. I'll do my job, and then after 7 o'clock, I'll come and spend 2 hours with you. There's no commitment, okay? Taking someone as your partner. I mean, I've seen lots of entrepreneurs actually just taking somebody because you cannot afford. Hey, this is my partner. Because you cannot afford to pay this person, take him as a partner. And it's a great title, right? You give him a co-founder status, he's happy, and then you've got another body with you. Top-down hiring versus bottom-up hiring. So this is, when you start hiring, you make the decision, right? Which is wrong. I mean, in startup company, you need to build the culture of all the relevant people to be involved in the hiring process. And hiring for the job. So, if let's say you are doing some job, right, that you don't like, okay, let me get somebody. So these are all the things that I've seen, people making mistakes. And what happens is you end up with additional bodies in the company, and it's hard to get rid of afterwards. Build your company brand. So when I talk about this is sort of very important, because how do you build a brand when you are 5-man company or 10-man company? So when I talk about this, right, it's not like you are advertising, you are, going to trade shows and building your brand. So build a brand is about the fact that how well you take advantage of a situation and market yourself. It could be in a social gathering. It could be in some presentation that you make, right? How do you create this? I mean, I'll tell you, when we hired this guy, absolutely fantastic guy, who helped us to build all the backbone network and everything back in 1995. So back in those days, right, there was no blogging, no Craigslist and stuff like that, right? So I put an ad in, how many of you are familiar with these news groups that existed back in mid-90s, right? So I posted, this is free. I posted an ad in one of these news groups, it used to be called sock.miss.hired or something like that. Right? I posted an ad giving all the specifications, and then this guy, young fellow, like 21, 22 years, he responds back, really good guy. And we did, a lot of selling inside the company. But ultimately, it came to, the guy had an offer from a San Francisco company for about $50,000, and we could only afford to pay $36,000. Because I had two other guys. If I had paid $50,000, first of all, we could afford. Secondly, if I had paid $50,000 to that guy, then I had to up the salary for these two guys as well. And you know how many of these guys, they just talk all their salaries and all their personal data, everything they talk, right? So there was no way we could make this $50,000 payment to this guy. And we managed to convince, right, through, giving a bigger vision and responsibility and all that stuff. And I tell you, the guy, even today, he remembers the decision that he took by not going into that San Francisco company and joining us for $36,000. I mean, it changed his life. It literally changed his life. So it's up to you. At the end of the day, it's up to you as to how you convince some of these good people, right? Because if you believe in yourself, if you believe in what you're doing, you'll be able to stand up and you'll be able to convince a lot of good people. And I've gone through this. I've gone through this. This is a classic example. I mean, we hired lots of people that way because we believed in what we were doing. So personality, cultural fit, very critical, because you don't want to get someone who is going to act strange or not going to fit, into your company culture. So obviously, a lot of these things you find through reference checks and things like that. All that I'm saying is, hiring is a very critical function. And with all this, I'm telling you, you will end up making mistakes. You will end up making mistakes, right? You will end up hiring some wrong people. When you do that, don't wait for a long time to take corrective action. Just cut it off. No mercy. So let me quickly take you through. The reason why I have put this slide is for you to understand what it actually takes before you hit the hockey stick growth. Okay? So if you look at, we started the company like end of 1993 and went through lots of ups and downs, hiring and all that stuff. And with small revenues, this is all, remember, this is all consulting revenues, right? And then somewhere here, we started to also have some small revenues from the Exodus part of the business. And the most critical thing that happened in the history of Exodus is actually winning Hotmail. And by the way, this has nothing to do with Sabir Bhatia. So, in fact, we didn't even know at that time when we won Sabir Bhatia that Sabir was the CEO of the company, because we were primarily dealing with the engineering folks and the operations guys who were making the decision. And winning Hotmail was a very critical function. I'll just give you the experience that we went through, right? This is, once again, it comes back to believing in yourself. So we had built our data center, the first data center in Santa Clara. And we were working with the Hotmail account for at least 2 to 3 months. And Hotmail, who'd seen the data center, and by the way, this was all new at that time. They gave a oral acceptance that we have won the business. This is on a Thursday or something like that. And we were to get the purchase order by Monday. And then the sales guy basically calls up as to when he should go and collect his purchase order on Monday. So between Thursday and Monday, one of our competitors has sold on things that Hotmail got carried away with. This happens all the time, okay? I'm just giving this as an example because you will experience these things. So the sales guy was literally devastated. Literally, he was devastated. Because this was an order that was done deal. And then come Monday, the PO was gone, right? Because the customer basically said, look, this company showed to us that they have a lot more strengths than you guys. And it's very important for us to be blah, 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 all that stuff. And that's why we have made the decision to go with this company. So, I mean, this is young company, you're just growing. This is a very critical account for the future of Exodus, right? So we told the sales guy, we said, look, tell the customer that we respect your decision. We respect your decision, but give us a chance for an hour because we want to understand as to what is it that we don't have and what is it that you learned from this competition. And because there was a great relationship that was built between Exodus team and the Hotmail team, right? So obviously they called us and about 5 of us went to Hotmail and they were like 3 or 4 people. So what we did was we prepared with about 8 or 10 questions that we asked these guys saying that please ask these questions to your new vendor that you have chosen, right? If you're happy with it, and by the way, we respect your decision. We constantly kept emphasizing on the decision that they have made. We have respected that. So we went with these 8 or 10 questions, and you won't believe, within 4 hours we get a call back because they had a conversation with the other guy, and then it turned out, right, that they are literally oversold than clearly articulating all the issues. So the customer eventually came back and we won that deal. And that was a critical point for us in our history as a turning point for us where our sales took off after that. So once we won Hotmail, and then we had series of wins. And if you look at the revenues, in 1996 we had $2 million of revenues. 1997, about $12 million. So, by the way, the whole internet bubble anomaly, right, was not here. This is all real sweat that we went through. And of course, we hit this internet bubble period somewhere here. And 96 was $2 million, 97 was $12 million, 98, this is the year we went public, and then we just took off, right? 2000 was $1 billion, and that's the time Exodus was named as the White House national property because of the nature of the customers that we had, right? We were actually named as a national property by Exodus, and